2025 is gonna go down as one of the more important years in film. Coming off a fairly tame 2024, this year was filled with surprises from left and right, with the biggest news story coming from Warner Brothers, a studio that's had an incredible run all year, with success that hasn't been seen in decades being bought out and swallowed up by Netflix, taking another big studio off the board and further monopolizing the industry, making the future of film much more grim. Which is crazy when you consider the bright spots this year. Newly minted stars of the future, all-time greats taking their place back on the throne, and today's artists cementing their legacies in film and cinema. All this to say, I'd like to take the time to appreciate all the great movies that came out this year. A year that, even with a number of troubling things going against the future of the industry, can still find that glimmer of hope to keep us all pushing. These are my favorite movies of 2025. I'm sorry, but movies about movies just hook me right in. Noah Baumbach's Jay Kelly is his very own modern-day 8.5. George Clooney plays the ever-so-charismatic Hollywood movie star Jay Kelly as he embarks on a journey of self-discovery across the European countryside. And there's a certain posthumous energy that really enhances the viewing experience. Like, very clearly at the start of the film, it sets the stage of a fading actor at his wits, reckoning if he's really done enough in his life beyond the movies he's made. And at a certain point, it just spirals into a borderline Kafka-esque story, showing glimpses, key moments, and regrets of Jay's life. And while yes, it can be very much woe is me at times, I really got enamored by the myth that is Jay Kelly and who he really is beyond the silver screen. And with it being shot by Linus Sandgren and scored by Nicholas Britell, it feels very classy. Across Clooney is Adam Sandler and Laura Dern, who are just firing at all cylinders with these Baumbach lines. There's gonna be a lot of movies on this list about tragedy and regret and how they affect the art we put into the world, but I think what Jay Kelly does best is celebrate that art and the incredible effects it has on the people around us. A very comfy banger of a movie. With this being the first Jafar Panahi film I've seen, I was going in blind. Expectations set high through the fall film festivals and its Palme d'Or win at Cannes, but those were fully met upon seeing it. Centered around a story on the oppressive Iranian regime and its consequences, it follows former captives looking for revenge on their former torturer. Not so much an odyssey, but closer to a road trip film on the discovery of oneself and how far fear takes someone, to the point of nearly committing the same atrocities of their oppressors for a sense of closure. But even with its simple premise and morally questioning story, it's able to alleviate itself and give space for comedy and breathe empathy and humanity into the ensemble. It's very bold and fascinating in its telling of human unification through grief and trauma. And when you consider how this was essentially made under incredibly stressful and dangerous circumstances, it makes it all the more shocking in how tight the movie feels as a whole, and how that Palme d'Or win is very much deserved. It's been well over a decade since Ryan Coogler has made a truly original movie, and in that time, however, he's delivered one of the best legacy sequels, delivered Marvel Studios' first Best Picture nominee, and kept working at his craft of being one of cinema's future greats, and Sinners just helps pad that legacy. Sinners is the vampire horror action movie that really caught me off guard in how much of an impact it's made. In an era of franchise slop, Sinners stands alone in delivering an original blockbuster that echoes the roots of its past in films like Jurassic Park and Jaws with modern filmmaking flair through today's creatives. It's a technically great movie with an entertaining script that's delivered by a stellar ensemble. Don't be surprised if it wins a bunch of awards in those three categories. It's one of the best looking movies of the year, one of the best sounding, and one of the best movies in the year in general. If there was any doubt on Coogler pulling both critical praise and box office cash for his movies, hopefully those get put to bed. This might be a bit of a hot take, but I think Bugonia might be my favorite Lanthimos movie. Telling the story of two conspiracy-based men in the kidnapping of a suspected alien CEO, it's a simple yet effective premise that has a perfect place within modern society. And that's really because of the three key performances from Aidan Delbus, Jesse Plemons, and Emma Stone, who are really just putting work in it here. Not that I'm surprised by it, I'm more in awe of them, losing themselves in the role both spiritually and physically. And you know, the mystery and cat and mouse of is she not, she definitely is, and there's no way that the movie puts you through is super entertaining. And it really puts you through the ringer by the end of the movie. It's for sure Lanthimos' most accessible film, yet it has so much artistry and flair that we've come to know. Like, there are tons of shots in this that look beautiful, especially when you consider that at the end of the day, it mostly plays out like a popcorn movie. It's just a great time at the cinemas, and that's really what it's all about. Chloe Zhao's Hamnet finally struck a chord for me that I've been so desperately looking for from her filmography. With all due respect, Nomadland and Eternals are films that I frankly do not like, movies that I didn't click with emotionally, and movies that I thought were kind of boring. Hamnet, however, finally opened my eyes to see what Zhao is really capable of. A true tragedy that's equal parts heartwarming and devastating. Based on Maggie O'Farrell's novel of the same name, it tells the story of the inspiration of Shakespeare's Hamlet, and by God, it's incredible. Placed on the shoulders of both Jesse Buckley and Paul Mescal, the amount of dread and catharsis within the movie can be overwhelming for some, but not for me. I thought both Mescal and especially Buckley gave career-high performances to deliver Shakespeare's greatest story never told. And it's easy to see why Spielberg attached his name to this in the first place, given its story beats on family trauma and its effects on us and the arts. I'd be remiss to not bring up Max Richter's rich and harmonizing score, especially the cheat code of On the Nature of Daylight, which just adds the cherry on top when it makes its entrance within the movie. Truly a gem of a film, and one that makes me far more excited for Zhao's future within the industry. Rian Johnson's third Knives Out film may be his most fascinating yet. Set against the backdrop of a Catholic church in upstate New York is Father Judd in the wake of Monsieur Wix's killing. These murder mystery movies are always a treat. All three of Johnson's films so far have been very good in capturing that classic Agatha Christie tale while placing it within modern society. But what I think Wake Up Dead Man's strength is within its main character, Father Judd, played by Josh O'Connor, who with every passing moment feels like my favorite lead in these movies, especially when standing across Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc, who's obviously just fantastic in the role. Their chemistry in finding both the killer and the reason for religion is the living heartbeat of the movie, and may be the first time that Blanc has actually progressed as a character. Not that he really needs to, but it was really beautiful to see. But with such a standout of a protagonist, the supporting cast left a lot to be desired. But even with that, I don't think it made a negative impact on the movie as it probably would have for the previous entries. And honestly, I can't wait for what Johnson has next, because I feel like he can really do no wrong with the franchise. PTA's comeback from the critically mixed and somewhat controversial Licorice Pizza is an incredible contemporary film. For a director who's been hesitant to step into the modern day stories, his first stab at it after like 2 decades looks to be your Best Picture winner. Loosely based off Thomas Pynchon's Vineland, it pits Leonardo DiCaprio's ex-revolutionary weed head against Sean Penn's Bond-esque trooper fascist in a goose chase across Southern California that encapsulates the modern political landscape. And while it's not my favorite film of the year, it's the kind of blockbuster to have ripple effects now and in the future, cementing the legacies of some of the more iconic creatives of their generation and introducing some of the future of Hollywood in Chase Infinity. It's a giant melting pot of different movies that American cinema has kind of hinged on through the years. It's a political drama, while being a classic action film with dashes of a stoner comedy and some absurdist satire to sweeten the deal. Oh, and it's technically very competent. Shot on VistaVision, it looks stunning and has the feel of a future American classic. There's so many memorable moments in this that props it up so much. Like anything to do with Bob, Sensei's apartment clear out, the entirety of the first act, and the near 30-minute goose chase through the desert that contains so much intensity that's applied by Johnny Greenwood's score. It's one of the best quote-unquote action scenes of the decade, and one that really encapsulates the film as a whole. A never-ending chase of different motivations and ideals that's been here, continues to be here, and will be here in the foreseeable future. In what appears to be a common occurrence at this point, Park Chan-wook can do no wrong. No other choice centers around Lee Byung-hun's Man-soo, a man who's recently just lost his job and is literally fighting tooth and nail to secure a new one under any circumstances necessary. Not only is it a film about capitalism and the consequences of its never-ending obsession with efficiency, but it's one of the few films to talk about today's economy. So many movies have been made about 2008 and the fallout from it, so it's pretty refreshing and a bit surprising to see a gigantic modern problem in today's films play out. And one that, in the movie itself, very much critiques the system from which it was born, taking out the competition for endless growth, and in some cases, just to keep your head above water. Chan-wook does this in an incredibly snappy and sleek way that feels very kinetic. Like, yes, the visuals are as great as they've always been for his films, but the camera work is very stylish and showy, and it adds a charisma to the movie's presence. Certain shots and cross-dissolves are just so baller. It's stuff I've really only seen from him, and with its satirical and playful angle on its depressing story, it comes off as very unconventional, yet confident. It's both a sad and funny film about a sensitive and growing topic on how we weigh our self-worth on employment and the greatness of wealth, and the lengths a person has to go to have that sense of social security in this modern cycle of despair. From the few films I've seen from Joachim Trier, they haven't really moved me as much as they have for other people. Yes, they have their highs, I love the montages, and Trier's ear for music is great, but nothing really stuck with me as I thought it would have given his film's intangibles. Enter sentimental value. Centered around the Borg family and the internal conflicts each of the family members have, it perfectly balances Trier's strength as a punky and edgy dramatist with bits of comedy that land for me far better than his previous films. And with the backdrop of generational trauma and movies about movies, it checks a lot of the boxes of my personal taste in film. Aiding the movie is a stellar cast consisting of Elle Fanning, Igne Ibdadililius, Stellan Skarsgård, and Renat Reinsve. And I'm not gonna lie, this quartet, or combination of those within it, have insane chemistry when they're on screen with one another. No matter if it's scenes trying to make you cry or ones trying to make you laugh, it just flows very naturally through Trier's direction. This movie was able to switch up the pace and mood on a dime, and deliver some emotionally great sequences to supplement its greater story. There's a certain type of energy in the movie that feels very delicate and very understanding of its characters, their motivations, and their beliefs. So much so that the slightest bit of push to the wrong side cracks open those memories the family has of each other, leading to an outpouring of emotion not only to each other, but the world and the art they create. But this family, through decades of hardship that the film shows us, tries to fix things, tries to patch old wounds, and tries to do better. And there's meaning in that, no matter how hard it is to show or understand and genuinely receive. The fact that we could try is enough.
This is what you want, this is what you get. This is what you want, this is what you get.
Marty Supreme is my favorite movie of the year. Josh Safdie's first film breaking off his and Benny's working relationship is an all-timer and instant classic. Starring Timothée Chalamet in the titular role as a self-imposed ping-pong prodigy, Marty Mauser, this is quite easily the performance of his career, and that's saying something. I think we all knew Timmy was going to crush the role of a dreamer with aspirations of greatness, especially coming off his speech from this year's SAG Awards, but even I was overwhelmed and shocked and hooked upon seeing how much he's giving in the film. He constantly keeps pushing up and putting all-timer stuff, and it really cements him as, I'm sorry, the greatest working actor of his generation. This electrifying performance is matched with equally electrifying direction and writing. Written by Josh and longtime collaborator Ronald Bronstein, It's very sharp, snappy, and infused with so much swagger that it comes off just as narcissistic and egotistical as its protagonist. And I can't really hate on it too much. It talks the talk and walks the walk with ease. It's an odyssey of one man's spiral down to prove that he is the best. And that energy the film has lights up all the other aspects it's got going for it, like its supporting cast with Odessa O'Zion and Gwyneth Paltrow as clear standouts. And the film's score that felt like it was pulled straight out of Tangerine Dream's playbook. Hell, a lot of the film feels like an ode to Michael Mann's Thief, especially that one scene at the used car lot. Add on the fact it has shades of Catch Me If You Can and After Hours into its DNA, and you have a recipe of a very potent rise and fall nightmare that hasn't been seen in decades. And with it feeling like taking a kilogram of caffeine in one sitting, at 150 minutes, this went by so fast, and I loved every single second of it. I'll leave with this. Marty's last stand in the film comes not at the pursuit of money, not at the pursuit of any accolades, and not even at the pursuit of any of his peers nor loved ones' respects, but at the pursuit of greatness. The pursuit of the simple satisfaction that you know you're the best and most dominant force in the field you're born for. The relentless pursuit of greatness no matter the fallout. And that's what makes it so incredible and why it's my favorite movie of 2025. And that's my list. It's probably most definitely gonna change in the future, as all my previous lists have, but this is where it stands for now at the end of the year. Please let me know yours down in the comments below, and thanks for watching.